All right. Hello and welcome everyone back to Soulframe Scholar. I'm Brozime, and today we're going to be talking about finishing the Nightfold. You can see here two stations that you probably don't have yet, that being the most important one, the Blacksmith, and also the Dying Station run by Tuvalcane and Verminia respectively. And you probably want access to those features. Most direly, of course, the Blacksmith, which I really do feel should be on the critical path of this game, but currently is not. And we're also going to be talking about the third and final optional quest, which is going to allow you to get Orengall, which is the pact that we'll be using for this video, which is this nice clawed arm you can see here. This is one of the strongest packs in the game, and allows you to run very fast with its first ability, making it fantastic for doing faction tails and stuff, and whatever else you might be grinding. So for that, it is worth to note that if we talk to Orlick here, unfortunately, looking at our fables, the Steel Singer, which is our Blacksmith quest, is not replayable. The Brewer of Hues, which is our Dying quest, is not replayable. And the She-Wolf Snared is also not replayable. It's worth noting you can come in here and replay War Songs, which allows you to change your physical features based on your mother from that cutscene. And the Torment Stag is also replayable if you just like to engage in that quest again. Torment Stag is going to be important here, and I'm going to assume you have done it for the purposes of this video, as we're going to use some reference points that you'll only know if you finish that quest, so just play a little bit more on your own. This is a required quest for you to go through anyway. The Last Pensive is also your very basic tutorial. That's how you get Orlick. If you've not done that, just let the game sort itself out where you are currently, and it'll lead you on your way just using your Sparrow. With that, though, the first and foremost we're going to talk about is the Steel Singer, and then we're going to talk about the Brewer of Hues, and then we're going to finish off getting you access to the quest for Orengall. Notably, I can't show you the exact steps because I don't have the ability to replay any of these quests, so this is mostly going to be a guide as to where to start all of these things, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about the She-Wolf Snared, as it is a little bit more involved than the other two quests. So with that, let's jump out into the world so we can get you situated with where these quests are going to be starting. So, in front of me, you might be familiar with this place. This is Fort Carlisle. If we look on the map, just zoom way out, you can see where I'm standing. I'm just kind of smack dab in the middle of everything. Far off to the west is where we started our previous video. This is where we're farming Durmac in Hillydene, and this is Salzburn, which is the coastal city off on the west side. Those are locations that you'll see pretty often. The other location you should be familiar with is the Garen Shrine. This is the shrine that you go into to defeat the Stag and free Garen Rood. So if you've done that quest, you have been here before. Just to the east of that is where the town of Carlisle is, and the fort above that. So with that, you should be pretty well situated and kind of be able to figure out where this is. There's a lot of login locations that kind of surround Fort Carlisle, and we're going to have another video that's talking specifically about this fort, because it's useful for a number of different reasons. But that's just to get you situated in the world with where I'm even standing. With that, right behind me, you'll see on the map, is this mine. Now, if you've not done this quest, there should be lightning constantly striking this area in order to kind of tell you to walk over here. And if we look over here, just jump up over this hill. This is the mine. You can see some enemies down there. We are going to go down and kill those enemies just to show off Orengall a little bit, and also just to give you the route that you're going to need. In the center, though, of these enemies, the enemies that are going to be populating this mine, there is a big steel helmet whenever you are, whenever you have not done the Steel Singer quest, of course. Orengall gives us some good buffs and everything. And summoning wolves is very good. Orengall herself will also show up to assist. There we are. We just have our wolves out and about. So you'll clear the enemies, and then right here in the middle, there will be a big metal helmet for you to pick up. Now, you can only move slowly whenever you pick it up. So you will need to make sure that you are clearing enemies and dropping it periodically, or you can do the quest in co-op and have somebody just protect you, which also works quite well. Orengall obviously very good with the assisting wolves here at protecting itself, but you won't have Orengall whenever you do this quest in all likelihood. So yeah, right here, picking up this helmet, you will head up this way because you do need to bring it back to the forge in order to actually get Tuvalcane unlocked. You will bring it up this hill. And then right here, you will be ambushed by some enemies that will spawn in. Just that's what the quest does. But killing them, pick the helm back up and head back up this road. Luckily, where you have to go is not too particularly far away. And you can just head right up this path here whenever you come to it. And this right here is the forge. You'll just take that helmet all the way up through here and drop it at the forge here. Whenever you do, Tulacane will show herself, and all you have to do is talk to her, and she will join your Nightfold. Now, there's going to be another video where I'm going to discuss leveling her up, as you will need to level her up in order to craft certain items, but that is for a future video. So, with that out of the way, we can talk about Verminia. Now, luckily, Verminia is not too terribly far away from Tulacane. If we look on the map once again, Fort Carlisle right here, this little stump you can kind of see on the map is the most common entrance, I would say, for the glades, especially after, like, you know, your kind of Garen Rude's shrine is also a glades entrance, but this one is usually a bit more accessible just based on a number of different factors. And this, just entering it, will start the Verminia quest. Now, I do want to note that the Verminia quest does end with a boss encounter, so it's not something that I would suggest you do absolutely immediately. You probably want your starter pack and your starter weapon to be maybe level 15 in order to make it pretty, like, you know, on level, let's say, for what you're doing. But if you're at that point, heading into this stump is going to be where you're going to want to go. Now, we are going to run over there, and of course, for that, we get to show off the other nice part of Orengall, which is the wolf form, where we can get some additional speed for traversing the world. Obviously, whenever we get mounts and stuff, this will be a lot less of an impressive power. But for the current time, being able to turn into a wolf and run around is a pretty good bonus. It is worth noting that you do have to attack before this ability ends, or you will be teleported back to where you started. And there's not a timer on screen, so you just kind of have to feel it out for how long that is. But it is a nice boost to your run around. Yeah, if we just go up around here, around Fort Carlisle, I am on purpose avoiding enemies and such, just so that this doesn't become the longest video on Earth of me fighting every enemy in all of Midrath on my way to places. But if we just come around to the side of Fort Carlisle here, we can... and this run right here is actually important for another thing that we're going to talk about in a different video once again, as there's lots of things to note around here. Yeah, you can just head right around the fort, and the entrance will be right over here. It's a very large, like, you know, pretty obvious stump, especially once you have recognized what it is, but this big hole in the ground here goes into our glades entrance. I'll just go down and show you exactly what the door looks like, as these doors are going to be two glades pretty much 100% of the time. Yeah, this is the big glades entrance door, very similar to the Garen door, but this is the one that spawns the Verminia quest. It is a regular glades until you get to the end, which is worth noting. So if you go in expecting it to immediately be like a very different thing, it won't be. It is a regular glades that ends with the Verminia quest starting and you doing that whole sequence. So just go through it normally, and at the end it should start you off on the Brewer of Hues. So that's how you get to that. And then finally, we get to talk about the She-Wolf Snared. Now, the She-Wolf Snared is a pretty easy one, because if we just look north here, we have on the northern side here, which is notably just north of Soulframe, which we just talked about, and also just north of Carlisle, which we just talked about. We have these 2 points. We have a world tree that's here, which unlocks a chunk of the map. You should, of course, be trying to get these as much as you can. And we also have Verton. So, Verton and the world tree here both have a unique red version of the balloons you're normally going to see and be popping. And those at the bottom of them will have a note. All you have to do is pick up and read the note, and it should start the She-Wolf Snared quest for you. There's a whole cutscene that plays and everything else. And the only other thing that I do want to note about that quest is that after you do the first part of it, you do need to wait an in-game day before it will continue. So if you do the first part of it and you're like, I got nothing, what happened? It is not a single part quest. It does come in stages, and there are stages that you have to wait for on the She-Wolf Snared in order to complete it. So that is worth noting there. I'll throw an image up here if I can find one of the red balloons. But in terms of the the usual enemy balloons that you'll see, they're bright blue. You see them everywhere. We can actually probably just run over to the fort real quickly, and you'll see one right here. Yeah, they're just those balloons, but it's bright red instead. There's a note to pick up at the bottom, and once you do that in those locations up north at Verton and at this world tree, I believe it's like here-ish in this little couple of buildings for where it is by the world tree. But over here in Verton, it's like right in the middle of town. So it's very, very hard to miss. You've probably run into it by accident and just didn't know there was a note to pick up. but that is where you start the She-Wolf Snared. So yeah, with that, that is the Blacksmith in the mines, starting that, and then bringing that north up to the Forge and getting her unlocked. Heading over to this Glades that is right below Fort Carlisle in order to get the Brewer of Hues. And then up north, we have at Vortone, or this World Tree, the starter big red balloons for you to get access to the She-Wolf Snared and complete all of the optional quests that are currently in Soulframe. Hopefully, this has been pretty exhaustive for what you probably needed. You probably didn't want spoilers for what happens in all of these quests anyway, and just wanted to know where you even go. So hopefully it's been helpful. And I'll see you next time. We're going to talk about some more farms and such.